Welcome back to After Credit Reflection. My name is Nolan, and I'm so glad that you're here. It is time for all to be revealed in the new 2026 Steven Spielberg directed movie, Disclosure Day. For many years, I was wondering when I was going to get a Spielberg original film. Not a remake, reboot, sequel, prequel, not even a franchise. Just an original idea by Steven Spielberg. And it's finally arrived with this new movie, Disclosure Day. And I gotta say, I was hyped for this film. The trailers hyped me up for this film. But when I went and saw it yesterday, it was a bit underwhelming. A little bit more than I thought it would be. But what am I saying? Let's hop straight into it. Alright, so Disclosure Day is not your typical run-of-the-mill alien movie. It feels more realistic than fiction. But I think that is what makes it such a great film, but not a lot of people understand. If you didn't know, Steven Spielberg is one of the most iconic film directors of all time. And as good as I thought this movie was going to be, it is a good film, but I thought it was going to be like a big, third act alien, action fest. But it turned out to be more like a psychological thriller. But I kind of want to dive into the flaws of this movie because, unfortunately for this, the flaws outweigh the major success in this film. And that's very unfortunate for a Steven Spielberg film. As I've said before, I think that this movie is a good movie. It just has flaws to it. But I want to dive right into those so that way we can cover it all in this video. Alright, so there's a few standout performances that I would like to mention. Emily Blunt is a standout performance in this movie. Bravo, excellent, well done. Coleman Domingo, also very good in his supporting role in this movie. And Eve Hewson was very, very good in her supporting role. I would be surprised if she did not get an Oscar nomination for her supporting role. Now, that being said, notice how I did not say Josh O'Connor, who was the male lead next to Emily Blunt. The reason I didn't say his name as a standout performance is because he didn't really give one. He didn't really give a standout performance. And I think that kind of what was contributing to that was also the antagonist. And I think the antagonist was really bland. Was very bland, was very stereotypical, seemed like more of a Bond villain than he did anything else, or like a Mission Impossible villain. So I don't think that there was any character growth in that. And I think that a supporting role that should have gotten more screen time was Wyatt Russell. He was in it for 20 minutes and then was never seen again. And I think that was kind of a total waste of Wyatt Russell's talent because Wyatt Russell has amazing acting talent. He was just underutilized significantly in this movie. I would dive deeper into kind of these characters and the mindsets, but there isn't really much to go off of. The movie doesn't really give you much to go off of in terms of character, and so it is a little bit confusing. It's also very confusing that a lot of the characters don't know kind of where they are or what it's about or what everything is about, which is confusing for an audience because we're confused along with them. And so that just shows kind of the writing and how the script was incohesive. And I think that what needed to happen was Steven Spielberg needed to write the script. There isn't much emotional attachment to these characters, and I kind of thrive off of emotional attachment to characters in movies, so that way I can kind of explore their psyche a little bit. But there wasn't really much that I could explore with these characters. Now, that being said, as I said before, if Spielberg wrote the script, we probably would have dove into those characters more. But because there was another scriptwriter, we couldn't really dive into that. I think that the intention of this film was more focused on reality than it was telling science fiction. What do I mean by that? Well, it wasn't meant to be necessarily good or scratch people's movie itch. It was more meant to be informative. Something that speaks to where we are in the world and kind of our purpose in it. And it is kind of difficult to put words on a movie that does that, especially one coming from Spielberg. And I think that the music added to that, with John Williams coming out of retirement to compose for this film. I think that that just added to the dramatics a little bit. But overall, I'd put this at a solid 7 out of 10. I know I didn't really explore or do much reflection, but that's just because there wasn't really much reflection to be had in this movie. And the only reason I didn't put it at a 5 was because of the performance by Emily Blunt and Eve Hewson. I mean, it is a quality film, don't get me wrong. But it is one that you could go watch in the cinema one time and then wait for the digital release. It is kind of upsetting that this is a Spielberg film, and yet it makes you leave the theater thinking, man, that was not the film I thought I was going to go see. Because usually Spielberg is very direct about what his films are about. And this one was direct, but it just wasn't the way we wanted. So I think that Disclosure Day is definitely, I'd say it's an acquired taste when it comes to film. That's it for me at After Credit Reflection. If you liked this video, go ahead and check out my other videos. And stay tuned for more reflections coming soon. And if you want to hit that subscribe button to be notified about the latest reflection, go ahead and do that. I will see you either here or at the movies.